I'm going to ask you a bit about Joe Hart actually, because at the moment, obviously he's under fire, he's made a couple of mistakes. Psychologically, he might be suffering a bit. What could you offer some advice to, obviously Joe Hart's a top goalkeeper, but say youngsters going through maybe the same sort of scenario?
Yeah, well, it goes without saying, goalkeeping, you make an error of any kind, more often than not it's going to end up as a goal, and certainly when you lose a game by the odd goal and you've made a mistake, it's hard to deal with, you know. And I think this has been one of the biggest things we're trying to do with GK Icon, is that goalkeeping, there's very few goalkeepers now that don't get criticised. I mean, most do, and most will make mistakes. In fact, everyone makes mistakes, that's part of it. The big thing that we try and help the lads we're coaching is in regards to how they bounce back, which, if you do make a mistake in the game, it's got to be that then that doesn't ruin the rest of your game, that you can still go on and play a good game and know that by making a mistake, that's going to give you a fantastic opportunity to learn and become better from it. So, I mean, Joe Hart at the moment, he wouldn't need me telling him this. He'll obviously, you know, and he's a great example of someone who's mentally very tough, you know, because despite making an error or two, he's there every week, and he's always putting himself back in the firing line. He's looking to improve, and even when he's made a mistake in a game, you'd never know, because he carries on in the same vein as he did before the mistake, and cracks on. So, you know, he's having a tough period at the moment, but I've got no doubt he'll come through stronger.
Would you advise goalkeepers to change their routine if they're going through a bad spell? Because obviously sometimes psychologically, if they go through a bad time, technically they could change or adjust a few things, and that maybe that's causing them to make a few errors as well.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there's certainly, talking about psychology, there's a lot in regards to patterns that you go through, and players will go through patterns, goalkeepers go through patterns before a game, and you'll have a certain preparation, and you know, certain people have superstitions and whatever else. And if something doesn't go right, then there's another saying that if nothing changes, then nothing changes. So certainly I'd always recommend changing bits and pieces here to try and improve something. And to be honest, goalkeeping or anything you do in life is continual change. You know, I think the second that you think you know it all and you rest on your laurels is the second that you're in a bad place. So I think with anything, there's always room for improvement, always room for change. And even Joe Hart, who's now won the Premier League and playing for England, he'll still be looking to improve and better himself.
Well, you've been a goalkeeper for a number of years now. If you were given 5 tips to be a goalkeeper, what would you give?
5 tips.
Or 5 things you need.
5 things you need. First and foremost, as I said before, enjoyment. You need to enjoy being a goalkeeper. You need to enjoy the idea of keeping clean sheets and protecting your team. So first and foremost, enjoyment. Dedication. I think if you want to make it to the highest level, anything you do, you need to make certain sacrifices. I think that's important. What do you need? As much as I hate to say this, the way of the modern game as it currently is, you need to be a certain size. I don't think necessarily as big as a lot of teams will lead you to believe, but you know, unfortunately now you don't see many under 6 foot that make it to the very top. I hope that changes, because I don't think necessarily the tallest keepers are the best, due to some being immobile and maybe not as good technically as the smaller ones. What else do you need? I think, to be fair, those 3, providing you've got a passion for what you do, you dedicate yourself to it, you're looking to improve in all different angles, I think those 3 will carry you a long way.
How can GK Icon help those attributes?
We kind of, the way in which we run, it's a bit of a holistic approach. So the way that we've looked at it is that you've got certain attributes to be a top goalkeeper, which obviously is a hell of a lot we can teach you technically. You know, whether that be your W position, whether it be scoops, diving, etc. Tactically, there's a lot that can be done, and even watching games of football can be huge for improvement. Watching the top goalkeepers play, where do they position themselves on the field, looking at their technique, how do they arrange those in front of them, are they talking all the time, etc, etc. So there's a lot that we can do tactically. Psychologically, probably one that gets overlooked and is arguably the most important for a top goalkeeper. You know, we can all be very good technically, but like we're saying with Joe Hart, how many can bounce back from a mistake and improve themselves all the time and keep that desire to want to improve? Even things nutritionally, you know, can you eat that a little bit better? Are there things that are going to make you more powerful, explosive, which comes on to probably my last bit, which is the strength and conditioning angle, physically. Being a goalkeeper, it's all good and well, you can be technically very good, but if you don't move very quickly, or if you haven't got the power to spring and make that great save, then you're always going to fall just short. So we try and look at all the different angles, and the drills that we put on will incorporate a lot of these things, and that's very much our thinking. And then obviously as goalkeepers progress and go into academies, they can then get further training there and kick on from there. So we try and look at each base and cover each base, and hopefully we're doing that.
You talked about nutrition. What do you tend to eat before a game, or what have you eaten through your career that you've been advised to?
It's changed a lot,
Yeah.
and it's, I think we were led to believe not so long ago that pasta was great and rice was great and this. And to be honest, I don't touch any of that now. It's vegetables, it's protein. So before a game, it's chicken, literally chicken and vegetables. Which, bearing in mind, a goalkeeper won't need as much energy as an outfield player because our position is very much power based and speed based. Yeah. You don't need tons of carbs. Obviously you're led to believe that. That's not necessarily the case. I have quite a bit of caffeine before a game. There's certain things you're allowed legally to take, which caffeine will make you feel that little bit more awake and more alive, which again, goalkeeping is very much about concentration, about sharpness, and very hydrated. That's the other thing that's really important. It's dehydration is one of the biggest factors for lack of performance.
In terms of yourself and the outfield players, would you prepare differently in terms of what you eat and what you take in compared to them?
Yeah, I think so. I think outfield players will need more carbs, and it's again not necessarily the rule that we're told is no white food, so no white pasta, no white rice, no. It's all, if you can do brown rice, brown pasta, that's obviously a bit better. And you get a lot of carbs as well from vegetables, and sweet potatoes very good and things like that. So it will be different. The way in which I think outfield players and goalkeepers prepare is also very different. Something that goalkeepers focus a lot on is imagery, which is very, very good. And that's going through your performance before a game, imagining the settings, the surroundings, and really preparing yourself mentally for what you're going to face has been proven to be really beneficial.
Obviously you played in the Championship, you played in League One, you played in the Premier League. How was it different preparation-wise? Do you always prepare the same?
Yeah.
Have you prepared the same for the same league? Obviously there's different challenges in each division, but
yeah.
Have you got any advice on that, what level you're playing at?
I think so. Naturally, bigger games you may feel more nerves and the kind of excitement, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, for that game. But I think a big challenge is to play each game as if it's the World Cup final. It's even if it's a development game or an under-10s game for your Sunday League club, play it as if you're playing at Old Trafford or Wembley or wherever you might be playing, because ultimately you have to do the same things as a goalkeeper. And this is the conversation that I have with a lot of goalkeepers. Sometimes you find the higher up you go, the easier it becomes, because in the Premier League the quality of the balls coming in and what have you, you'll have less touches in a Premier League game than you will in a conference game or a non-league game. So arguably the lower down you are for a goalkeeper, the harder it is. So that being said, I would certainly say prepare as if every game were exactly the same. You're going to have crosses to catch, you're going to have saves to make, you're going to have kicks to do, you're going to have to play out. There's very little difference as to whether you're playing in a Sunday League game or at Old Trafford. And the great thing about that is it allows you to practice everything you need to practice every single game.